Hey, welcome back. So in this tutorial, as I said in the last one, what we're going to do is we're going to make a pause menu. Hopefully this one goes a little faster than last time. I like to try to keep these below 30 minutes if possible. And since we kind of covered a lot of the basics of making widgets in the menu system, this one should go a little faster. If you haven't caught any of my previous videos and you don't know what I'm talking about, right here, putting on the Fritz 3D visualization, you can find the videos for this game. This is a simple rollerball game, but we're going through a lot of the concepts about how to use Unreal Engine, and you'll be able to kind of pick and choose whatever it is you want to put into your game and see how we do it here. All right, again, let's go ahead and take a look at the demo. So here is my demo game. Okay, this was the widget from last time, and let me go ahead and pull up the pause menu. The pause menu is going to be just real simple. I'm just going to add two buttons that are going to pop up in the middle of the screen, and we're going to pause the game overall. Okay, so when I hit play and I go into start, okay, and I hit the P key on my keyboard, it'll pause. I cannot play the game. Everything stops moving, the timers, everything. And now at this point, I can either choose to quit the game or I can resume the game. Okay, and that takes us to the start of the game again. All right, so let's go ahead and jump on in that. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to save all from last time because I haven't done that. We have our main menu here. I'm going to go ahead and leave that open. We'll need to have the BP My Player open, and I'll mention that when time comes because we're going to actually have to set up the pause functionality. And we're also going to have to create a widget. So let's go ahead and make the widget first. I'm going to leave the main menu open here, and I'm going to go ahead and select. We'll come back to that in a second. All right, so I'm going to go into my content. We're going to go to our UI. I'm going to right click here. I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call this one Pause Menu. Not that there's going to be a lot that we put in here, but as you make more elaborate games, you may have imagery and other things that you want to use for each of your different menus, and keeping it organized is the best way. So we're going to go ahead and pop into here. I'm going to right click, and again, we're going to go down to user interface. We're going to go to the widget blueprint. We're going to pick the top one here, user widget, and we're just going to go ahead and call this W_pause menu. All right, and then we're going to double click and open that widget up. Okay, and again, right here is the pause menu. What we need is we need a canvas, and I'm going to go ahead and grab this canvas panel. I'm going to click and drag and drop it down to here. So again, I typed in can up here, it came up with canvas panel. I'm dropping it as a child to my pause menu. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that right there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my main menu widget, and since these are already of the size that I want, I'm going to go ahead and select them both. Here, I'm going to do Control C for copy. Go back to my pause menu, and I'm going to do Control V and paste those into there. And of course, they came in all the way down here. I'm going to click and drag and drop them up into my scene here. Just kind of place them in like that. All right. So now with the start menu, I'm going to scroll down. And if you haven't done that before and you're just now joining me, you can jump back into the previous video, see how we made the buttons, and make them into this scene here. So they came over just as buttons, which we could drag from over here, the buttons, click and drag, and the text. But they don't have any of the functionality in them. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to need to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and on the start button, I'm going to click plus, okay? And then right here on the start, and we're going to rename that from start to resume, but we'll do that here. Let's go ahead and do it right now. I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's go back to the designer. So we have start. Let's go ahead and rename this one resume in the text. Okay. And here it is right here. Resume. Okay. And we're going to need to probably bring the letter spacing in just a little bit. Get to fit inside the button. And we could also change the font, but I'm going to leave the font the same so it's consistent through the game. The other thing I want to do is I'm going to rename the button itself from Start Button to Resume Button. And you could have left it as Start as well. And the Quit button is going to stay the same. Okay, so now let's jump back over to the graph and let's go ahead and get the functionality for the resume the game, okay? Okay, so again, we're going to need to get the player controller, okay? So right click and say get player, okay, player controller right there. And we're going to do the same thing we did before. I'm going to just go ahead and right click and I'm going to set input mode. And this is going to be game only again. Okay. And I don't know why I put that up there. I'll just do this. Okay. Connect those two together. And just like last time, we're going to go ahead and this is what's giving us the ability to, when we resume the game, to take away the mouse. And we're going to give the mouse to the player in the functionality when we actually press the pause button. All right. So what we're going to do is, again, we're going to set show. Okay. And we want set show mouse cursor. And it should be going into both of these. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that blank because we want to take away the mouse cursor in this function. And we're going to then remove this widget. So we're going to remove from parent. Okay. And that's what's going to take the widget away from the being inside the viewport. And we're going to go ahead and then pull out and we're going to say set game paused. Okay. And we're going to leave that unchecked because this is, if we highlight this, this is going to be, if we comment it by hitting C on the keyboard, this is going to be resume game. Okay, this is not the pausing function, this is the resuming function. And then the other thing we want to do is we're going to go back to the designer. We're going to click on the quit button. We're going to scroll down to the bottom down here. On clicked again. Okay. And then on clicked, we're going to quit game. Again, select it, hit C on the keyboard for your comment, and we're just going to type in quit game. Okay. So there you have it. Those two are done. You can change them to whatever color you want. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and compile and save this. That gives the functionality to our widget, but now what we need to do is we need to actually set it up so that the player can pause the game. And that's where we're going to open up our player blueprint, all right? So remember your content drawer, your blueprints, go to My Player, and you're going to open up your player blueprints. And right here above camera fade, I'm going to put this together. So we're going to need an input action. So I may have gotten a little ahead of myself, but we need this open anyway. Also go to your project settings again, under Edit, Project Settings, right? Go down to Input. And we're going to put in the functionality for a button. And this is going to be a action mapping. So I'm going to hit plus right here. Okay. And I'm just going to call this pause. Okay. And you can even call it pause game. That way it's a little bit, stands out a little bit more. And my key that I'm choosing for this, so I'm going to click the keyboard and I'm going to hit P for my choice for buttons for pause. If there's something else on your keyboard you want to use, obviously use that. Just stay away from ones that you're already using. Okay, so that's it for getting our input set up. So now let's go ahead and jump back to My Player. So BP My Player, we're going to go ahead and right click in here, and we're going to look for pause game as our input action, okay? So when we click, this thing's going to happen, okay? Now, what we want to do is we're also going to make something we haven't done before in a variable, is we're going to make a reference to our widget, okay? And we're going to then verify that this widget is actually a valid component in our game. So down here under variables, we're going to hit the plus button, and we're going to call this pause menu reference. Okay. And then down here, mine says Boolean. Yours may say something else depending on what you've been doing. But I'm going to click on that. And then up in the search, I'm going to type in pause. Okay. And when I typed in pause, you see that it found only two different things for me in here because I have my pause menu widget, which is this one right here. It's got the little heart in the middle of the little squares there, or rectangles, I guess. And we want the top one. We want this object reference. Okay. So we're going to pick that. And now we have this reference. I'm going to go ahead and compile it. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this out and drop it right here. Okay. And we're going to get the pause menu reference. And now, once we press the button, we're going to check to make sure that this is valid. So we're going to say is valid. Okay. And we want this as a utility right there, is valid. And the thing that we're checking to see if it is valid is this reference. Okay. And so this is valid is going to look to see if we've already got the menu set up in our screen. So did we already press the P button for pause? And if we did, is it going to do it again? Or is it not? If it's not there, it needs to create it. So that's what this branch is going to kind of do for us. It's going to check and see, hey, is this thing already in the scene? Is it valid? Okay. And if it is, then what we're going to do is we're going to, and we may not be able to get it off of this one, actually. Because what we're going to do is we're going to right click first up here, and we're going to get player controller, because we need to get player controller, because this is where we're going to take away the, or actually give the player the ability to have their cursor on the screen. Okay. So from here, we're going to go ahead and drag out, and we're going to set show, and we want to set show mouse cursor. Okay. So if this is valid, we're going to plug the valid into here. Okay. And we're going to put a little check mark right here because we want to show the cursor. Now then, once we do the check and it says it's not valid, then what we're going to do is we're going to pull off from here, and we're going to create the widget. So if the widget isn't already in the scene, we need to create. Okay, we need to create the widget. And the widget we want to create, if we hit the down arrow right here, is the pause menu widget. Okay? Okay. Now, what we're going to do is once we create it, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to want to set it so that when it does the reference, it knows that this already exists. So we're going to pull out from here, we're going to select set, and we're going to pull this here, and then we're going to get the return value here and feed that in. And now we should have that looking exactly like that. Pull this out just a little bit more. And we're going to then do the same thing. We're going to set the ability to see our player mouse, okay? And now we're going to go ahead, just like before, we set the input mode, but we're actually going to set input mode for both the game and the UI, all right? So we're going to set input, okay? And this one's going to be the top one, input mode for game and UI, okay? And I'm just going to go ahead. We could drag the pin all the way from over here, but I like trying to keep it clean and not have so much spaghetti going on. So we're going to go ahead and get the menu reference again. Okay. And this is going to feed into here. Okay. It's going to feed into the in widget, it to focus. And we're also going to get the player controller, and we're going to feed that into here. And I'm going to just kind of pull that up a little bit so it looks a little bit better. All right. And the other reason why I pulled out the pause menu reference is because we're going to pull out from here, and we're going to add to... yeah, we can't do it from there. All right, so we're going to have to pull out from the pause menu reference, and we're going to add to viewport, okay? And I'm going to drag that up into here, connect these together. I'm going to double click here on this one, drop this down a little bit. I'm going to clean that up a little bit. Okay, and now once all that's done, we've done all that checking, we've given the cursor back, we pulled up the widget. We're now going to go ahead and do what we intended to do for this whole process, and we're going to set game paused. Okay? And we're going to put a little check mark in there. It's important to put that check mark in there to get this to pause. Okay? And I'm going to highlight that whole thing. I'm going to comment it. And we're going to call this pause game. Okay? And let me see, since it's not green for go or red for stop, maybe we'll put yellow for pause or caution or something like that. In between, I don't know. Okay, so now we've got that all set up. And we're going to go ahead and compile it. And we're going to save it. All right. So let's go ahead and test it out and see if it works. Hit play. Start. And if I hit the P button, everything pauses. I can't move anything. I can resume the game. If I hit P again, I can quit the game. All right. So that should be it for this tutorial. The next one is going to be what happens when we make it through all 3 levels, because this game only has 3 levels to it. You can have as many levels as you want, of course, but for this tutorial lesson, we've been making 3 levels, just to see the functionality be going from one level to the next. And then once you make it through, it should do something, right? It shouldn't just go into a black screen. So what we're going to do is we're going to have an end game menu as well that'll give you the option to restart or to quit. All right. So again, if you have any questions, please put them down in the comments. If you like this video, please like it and subscribe to my channel. I will see you next time.